Welcome back everybody to the Search Show 24/7, and this is X-Men Days of Future Past movie review. So let's get right into it.
We need you to hope again.
Alright guys, Days of Future Past, directed by Bryan Singer, starring Hugh Jackman, James McAvoy, Ian McKellen, Patrick Stewart, Michael Fassbender, Jennifer Lawrence, and a slew of other great talents in this movie. This movie, going into it, had me super excited because it was based off one of the comics that I truly loved growing up as a kid. I read it a few times as a kid. I don't actually own that copy. I think I used to. I could be wrong, but I think I used to. But I read it so many times, and it was just such a good feeling to know that they were going to make this movie, and that the goal for this movie was to make it really good, and to fix the issues that people had with X3 and stuff, because for a lot of people, X3 is what the downfall came with the X-Men franchise, and then it kept going down a little bit further with X-Men Origins Wolverine, but then it picked itself back up with First Class, directed by Matthew Vaughn, and back up again with the Wolverine that came out just last year. So this movie had a lot riding on it. You get the original director back in Bryan Singer. You get all the original cast, all the brand new cast in this one movie. So the epic scope of this movie was just grand, and you knew something special was about to happen. Full warning, this will be a spoiler thing. That's why I recorded on Sunday to give people time to watch it. And yeah, so it will have spoilers in here. But yeah, let's get right into it. I enjoyed this movie throughout. Um, I've seen it twice already, and my second viewing, I was trying to figure out if I liked it better than I liked Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and I think it's edging out. The more I think about it, I think it's edging out The Winter Soldier just a little bit. But The Winter Soldier, don't get me wrong, is a fantastic movie. But I think I'm putting this just a step above The Winter Soldier, just because of the payoff at the end. Now, this, for me, this movie makes this, what makes this movie for me is just the payoff and what it brings and what it holds for the future. And just this, the story overall was just really fantastic, and I enjoyed it so much, and I was always enthralled, and my eyes was always on the theater watching this movie, and it was never a dull moment for me watching this movie. So if a movie can do that for me, then it's a pretty dang on good movie. So yeah. Now the plot of this movie, especially when you're dealing with the future and like time traveling and stuff like that, the plots in movies like this can be very complicated, can be very convoluted, can be very cluttered. But this one is very simple. They told you right in the beginning what it was, and I like that in a movie where where you don't have a chance to say what they're talking about, and they tell you like right then and there, and they don't like just spread it out into the entire movie until like at the end you know what the plot is. They tell you right in the beginning what this plot is. It's very simple. You have in the future, like everything's going to hell. Like the Sentinels have basically wiping out half of humanity, including the humans, including the mutants, and they know how to adapt to the humans' power. I mean, to the mutants' power. So it's basically no way you can actually beat these dang on things. So in the future, you have Professor X, you have Magneto. They basically tell Wolverine, like, you need to go back and get our younger selves to, kind of work things out and help save uh, the future and change the past by stopping Mystique. And I like that. A lot of people had a lot of issues with the fact, like, oh, Wolverine, he's the main focus. When you really watch this movie, I've seen this movie twice. Wolverine is not the main focus of this movie. He's the catalyst to get the movie going. But once the movie starts going, and once Wolverine is in that position where he needs to be to get Professor X and Magneto on the same page, he kind of takes a back seat, and I'm okay with that because Hugh Jackman does such a good role. He does such a great job as playing Wolverine that it doesn't seem like he takes a backseat, but he does. But this movie is just filled with just fantastic actors and actresses that everybody has their moments to shine. Even like the little small cameos you get. Because when I was a kid, I grew up on like the '90s uh, X-Men cartoon series, and I was a big fan. Like it was Batman and X-Men for me. It was Batman, X-Men, and Power Rangers, and I used to just play with my Green Ranger on the same side as Batman with Bishop on the side, and I was a big Bishop fan when I was a kid. So when I saw him there, I was super excited. And you know, he doesn't get too much to do, just like the other like secondary characters in the future. They don't get too much to do, but what they do, they make the most out of it. You know, Blink, she has just this great teleport power with these portals and stuff. Just things like that were just shot so beautifully. The future had like this dark, gritty, like Tron-esque because it was like neon lights and purple. You know, just I felt like I was in Tron, but with X-Men, and I like that feeling. So you had these like great moments, and it was shot beautifully in the future. I love like that grittiness and just the dark tone and just the bleakness of it, and just how just smug it looked, and you always felt like somebody was gonna die. And I love the fact like what's so great to me about these X-Men movies, especially when Bryan Singer does it, he never shies away from making it a hard 13. Like this is what PG-13, but it's a hard 13. What I like about when he directs, he lets like the cuss words go out. He lets the foul language goes out. He makes sure he uses that 13, that PG-13 to his advantage as much as he can. He makes the killing scenes like brutal without showing too much, but you still feel it. You still feel the pain when these beloved characters die. And that's what I love about when he directs X-Men. I mean, he's not the best when it comes to like Superman and stuff like that, but this is his wheelhouse. This is what he's good at, and I'm so glad that he's back in this whole mix. Now, like I said, you have Roaring. He goes back to try to get Professor X, the younger version, played by James McAvoy, back in the saddle because you know he's basically lost everything, and that's the standout performance. Like if people say like Wolverine's the main focus of this movie, I I completely disagree. The star of this movie is James McAvoy and the coming of age story of how Professor X, how he is in the future and how he gets to that point. And just watching him and just how broken of a man he is back in the day was just so heartbreaking, and you felt for him and you understood why he you just understood why he was just in so much pain because he basically lost everything. You know, he loses his best friend in Eric. He loses like a sister to Eric, who is a Mystique, and just his students are gone. People that he loved died. So he really has nothing to live for because he was a man of hope. And when things like when that hope is like shattered and broken away, you really don't have nothing to live for. And that's what I like seeing in his character. So I thought he was just, for me, he was a standout performance in this movie. His just relationship with him and Magneto and Raven, who this is really those three. It's their movie. Like Raven, Magneto, and Professor X, it's really their movie, and just that friendship and that struggle and them trying to get back together to what they were. It's their friendship like really tested, and that's what's really good about this. You see how they used to be so close, and that connection is lost, and it's torn each of them apart in different ways where they resent each other and they don't trust them. You know, that's what I like about a movie like this because X-Men, when it all comes down to it, X-Men is about a family, about a team, and they explore that team aspects not in just like the action scenes, but in the emotional scenes, and that's what really stuck to me is like you bring that whole team and that whole group of X-Men characters, and you tell a story not about their action and how they work as a team, but how they struggle more as a team than anything. And that's what's really good about this movie. Wolverine, he's trying to get Professor back on the saddle, trying to get him to the right mind frame. He has to, stop Mystique from killing Boulevard Trask, played by Peter Dinklage, and that because she basically escalates everything into what happens in the future. She kills them, and that escalates to where the humans feel like they need to be protected by the Sentinels and stuff like that. So, that whole struggle of them trying to figure out how they're going to get Mystique on the same page with Magneto, and Magneto on the same page with Professor X, and how they all need to come together was very interesting to see that just how all these characters are going to coexist for the greater good. And I love the fact that Magneto, like, they break him out of jail, and he just causes more collateral damage if you really think about it. And that's what I really like about Magneto, because Michael Fassbender does a great job as Magneto, as as a villain who you understand why he's a villain and why he does the things that he does. And that's what's so good about a good villain, when you understand their reasonings of doing what they do. He does everything to protect his race, to protect his brothers and sisters who are the mutants, and he doesn't let anyone get in the way with that, especially his friends, his families. Like, if they're in the way of his goal to protect, like, the greater good of the mutants, then he'll turn on them in a heartbeat. So that was just a cool thing and a cool plot device to get us in that action, and get us into that just that fight between Professor and Magneto and their struggles as friends and stuff. So that was really good. I think another star of this movie, and a reason why you really can't. Well, when people say don't judge a book by its cover, you really have to understand that when it comes to Quicksilver, because when the pictures first came out, people were bagging on him and giving him a lot of crap and stuff. I didn't say anything about it because I was one of those people where I don't like to judge a book by its cover when it comes to stuff like that, because I've been wrong a lot and I didn't want to be wrong. So I don't think I made a video about how Quicksilver looks stupid and stuff. I just kind of kept quiet about that whole situation. But he has a great scene, and he was one of those characters where you were really upset when he left the movie, and you just wanted more of him because he made that big of an impact. So I always feel like you can never judge a book by its cover, especially when it comes to these superhero movies. Yeah, they might look stupid, but it's all about the content and how it makes the story progress, and putting him into the story, Quicksilver, and the way he looked and stuff. People have to remember he looks crazy because this movie takes place like in the 70s, where it was all kind of weird attires and stuff like that. Every superhero costume didn't look cool in the 70s. It was all about afros and bell bottoms and like tight like shirts and stuff like that, and weird neon jackets in the 70s. So people have to take stuff like that in account, and that's what I took in account, that he's dressing like anybody would in the 70s. So I thought he did a fantastic job in this movie. I'm so glad that they announced that he's going to be back in X-Men Apocalypse in a bigger role. But overall, I really enjoyed this movie. One thing about this movie that a lot of people that I've watched their reviews and stuff, they haven't mentioned, this movie does a great job at making the other movies better. Now, as much as people hate X3, and I'm one of those people who understands why people hate it and stuff. I don't like hate it like to where I'll need to die, and it's just one of those. But I understand why it's a bad movie and stuff. But what this movie does is it the way it plays out, it makes X3 a better movie because of the payoff at the end of this movie. And that's what I like. When I was leaving this movie, I was like, man, I actually kind of like X3 just a little bit more, because without X3, you don't get that great payoff at the end with Wolverine meeting everybody again for the first time in a long time, and just meeting Jean, and meeting Cyclops again, and just seeing them and just being like shell shocked, and seeing Rogue and everybody like that, which was just a great scene because you get everybody back. You got Kelsey Grammer back for Beast, you get Rogue, you know, it was just a great scene. So it made like these past movies very, very better, or not very, very better. Just it made these past movies just great and enjoyable to watch. And that's what a good sequel should do, when it can add on and make the previous movies a lot better. Then you know you have a good sequel. Then you know you have a good movie. I love this, the fact that they added the younger version of Stryker in this movie. I did not see that coming. I didn't see it in the trailers or anything like that. So it was a very pleasant surprise of them adding Stryker. And like I said, it just made everything a lot better. It made X2 a lot better. It made X-Men Origins a little bit better, and that's a terrible movie, but that's what this movie did, and I really, really enjoyed it. So what you guys think about this movie? The post-credit scenes with Apocalypse was fantastic. Um, I was shocked. I'm super excited about it. Uh, I'm super excited about it, guys. So please like this video, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you thought. I'm sorry this was a very long review, but you get those sometimes. So please comment below. Let me know what you thought about this movie. And what about this question? If you got to go back in time, what time would you go back into? Like, would you go back to the 70s? Would you go back to the 80s? Me, I would probably go back to like the early 90s, because that's where like all the cool cartoons and the toys and stuff. If I can go back in time and tell my younger self to like hold on to like my Bishop toys and my Power Ranger toys and stuff like that, I would probably do that. So comment below, let me know. And as always, this is the Cirque Show 24/7. Be easy.